Hi, and welcome to the Ham Radio Newbie. I'm Jeff, and I'm the Ham Radio Newbie. In this episode, we're going to start looking at repeaters and what they can do with you. So even though I have said that I wanted to communicate around the world and I wanted to play with HF, I started, like most of us, in the UHF VHF realm in those bands. And I did that for a lot of reasons. It was cheaper. It was easier, and because the technician license lets you do UHF, VHF, and just a very little bit in the HF bands, so that's where I put my focus. Now, what I found is that I really like the UHF, VHF, and I'm spending a lot more time there, especially now that I've got to drive to work. I used to work from home, now I've got to drive to work and home, and that extra 45 minutes that I'm spending each way gives me a chance to play on the radio while I'm driving. It's pretty easy. I've got a rig in my car and I just move around. I spoke to one person on the way in today and two or maybe it's three different people on the way home. And it works really well and it's a lot of fun and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So let's start talking about repeaters so that you can enjoy it too. What is a repeater? Now, a repeater is just a radio, but it does something special. What it does is it takes what it receives, frequency shifts it a little bit, and transmits that out. What that does is it means that the receive and transmit frequency aren't the same, so they're not going to talk over each other. What that lets your radio do, or my radio do, is listen on that frequency that they're transmitting on, and then I will receive there, and then I can transmit on another frequency to send it out. There's also another part of it that is the tone. Not all have the tones, but almost all do. And what the tone does is it tells the repeater that this is a message that's intended for the repeater so that it'll start listening and end on it. I'm not going to go into all the details there, mostly because I haven't spent all that much time learning the ins and outs and all the details. At some point, I'm sure I will, but right now, I'm just using it. The nice thing about the repeaters is they're really easy to program. You have two options. The first is to do it with the menus on your radio. It's not that hard. I would recommend you have the manual in front of you or literally write down the steps, which is what I did, but there's software out there. The software is either made by the radio manufacturer or third parties have come out with some. There's also an open source one called Chirp, which I really like. And what I like about Chirp is I set up my memories in my radio once, and then I reuse that over and over again for the different radios. Now, there is a trick to that. Don't just copy and use it directly. You really need to download from your radio first to make sure that you have what they call the code plug right, because if you don't, things could go bad, or at least I've heard things could go bad. I haven't experienced it. I hope none of you ever do. So just follow the rules, and I'll show you them in a moment. It's really easy. But first, where do you find your repeaters? So for that, we go to a website, and the one that I like best is RepeaterBook. So this is RepeaterBook. It's just a website, repeaterbook.com. I've already logged in, so I can start going through it. I'm going to pick repeaters and North American repeaters because I'm in the US. And I'm going to pick the state of Texas because I'm in Texas. You get presented with this page, and this page has a lot of different information. You can choose specific bands or the types or features. I'm going to talk a bit about these linked repeaters in just a moment, and I'm going to talk about the highways, which I think is pretty cool as well. But where you're probably going to start, or at least where I started, is I picked my hometown and the repeaters that are nearest to me. So I picked Keller. And here in Keller, we have three repeaters, 147.2, 442.975, and 444.7. I literally write down this information, the frequency, the direction of the offset, and the tone. Now, sometimes you have a tone up and sometimes you have a tone down, but most of the time it's just one way or the other. At least that's what I've found so far. What I haven't been capturing is the call sign because I'm really not using that. However, you'll notice when you hit a repeater that they're using it all the time. So, once you get this information, you need to get it into your radio. And that's where we go to Chirp. I put all this information in, and yes, I typed it all by hand. There's other ways to do it. I'll show you that in just a moment. But here is 442.975. It's a tone. It uses 100 plus 5. Now, I named it Kel 442. I used a name that was easy for me. Many people just use the call sign of the repeater, but that doesn't help me because then I don't know where it is. And I want to pick a repeater that is near me so that I can hit it. These up here with the N, that's for my radio club, the NetArc Radio Club, and these are the repeaters that we specifically use. So I put those in there. Notice the 147.2, that's in Keller, but I didn't put Keller 147.2. Instead, I put NCTC. NCTC stands for North Central Texas Connection. What this is a group of linked repeaters. I used this tonight, as a matter of fact, and I was hitting 147.2, even though I was probably a good 7-ish miles away, maybe a little further. But I was talking to a guy out in near San Angelo, which is a couple hundred miles away. That's cool because remember, it's all line of sight, except what these linked repeaters do is I link to 147.2, and that links to another repeater, that links to another, that links to another, that eventually got to the one that was in San Angelo, and I could talk to Dave. When you're talking on a linked repeater network, give yourself a little more time. Push the push to talk button, count 1, 2, 3, and then KB5JRC monitoring. Give it that extra time to get to all of the repeaters, to get them all queued up to be listening, and otherwise the beginning couple of words that you say get knocked off. I had that happen a lot until I learned how to do it. Let's go back to Repeater Book. And there's another feature that I like. I've only used this once, but when I was traveling from here, from basically Dallas down to Houston, I was taking 45. Here are all the repeaters that are close on 45. So I can kind of run my way up and down, and as I'm getting to, I don't know, Dallas, or as I'm going through to north of Houston, New Waverly, or some of the areas there, I can start hitting those repeaters and keep talking to people all the way down. There's a way to export this in Chirp, and by doing that, you can import it easily and quickly, and then you're all set up and ready to go. So that's really all there is to know about repeaters. A quick summary: the repeater is going to take your message, frequency shift it a little bit, and send it out. It's doing that almost instantaneously. As far as humans are concerned, it's instantaneously. The repeater extends how far you can talk, sometimes really long if you have these linked networks. The important thing on the repeater is the frequency, the direction of the offset and the offset itself, and then the tones. You set those using a program like Chirp or directly by hand. That's about all there is to it. So with that, I'm going to say 73 KB5JRC, the ham radio newbie, and I'm clear.